Welcome to Security Nation, an ESA podcast that brings you the voice of electronic security and life safety. We bring on security pros to discuss the latest industry happenings, new technology, and best practices, telling your story to become the ever-present voice in an ever-changing industry. I'd like to introduce this episode's guests. We actually have Tracy Larson, who is president of WeSuite, a sales management software for security integrators. And then additionally, we have Kendall Horner, vice president at Braveheart Sales Performance. Both of these ladies are ESX's sales track education advisors, and I'm very happy to have both of them on the podcast today. So thank you both for joining us.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So just to start right off, if each of you could kind of tell our listeners a bit about your background in the industry and background in sales in general, that would be excellent.
Do you want to go first, Kendall?
Sure, I'll go first. Yeah. So I'll answer that question in two ways. My background in sales really started with a Xerox subsidiary. And so I was in that industry for a while. I also spent some time in sales with a commercial furniture dealer. And so was dealing with the physical environment from a sales perspective, focused on the corporate middle market businesses in the area. And then found Braveheart. And at Braveheart, what we do is we help clients who have challenges from a sales perspective. And so we really are diagnosing and addressing any concerns that are preventing the sales team from reaching their maximum potential and helping to eliminate those and really get them where they need to go. With the security industry, Braveheart has always been pretty ingrained with the industry because Gretchen Gordon, our founder, actually started her career as a lender to the industry many years ago. And it's an industry that we're really passionate about because there's so many great businesses and great people in it. And we really feel passionately about what those in the industry do. They're keeping people safe and their assets and their spaces safe. And so we do a lot of work. A lot of our clients are in the industry because of that.
Excellent. Thank you, Kendall. Tracy, if you may.
Yeah. So my sales background really was, as I'm listening to Kendall, I'm kind of thinking back on that, was first because I started my own company selling consulting, essentially. My background was design and construction. And so we were doing commercial design, commercial construction management. And I started a business that sold those types of services with project management. And I had to sell, I had to get out there and find customers. And so that was kind of the first thing that brought me into the sales side of things. And then eventually I joined a security integration firm. And one of the things that I think I reluctantly started to love was sales. I was running operations. So I was a COO for the business and saw an opportunity to really start a national sales program that was taking care of very, very large clients that had very big footprints. So maybe they were regional, maybe they were US wide, maybe worldwide. And with that, I had to really get into not only how to sell to them, but how to answer those sales. So throughout my career, I've written a lot of RFPs. I've answered many, many RFPs. I've bid in bids and bidding forever. And so I understood that very well. Eventually, we sold that business and I stayed on to run worldwide accounts for a very large corporation that we sold to, and then eventually knew that that wasn't really my calling and wanted to start WeSuite. And so WeSuite was really founded to help integration firms and alarm companies to quote more accurately, more efficiently, and then with the downstream effects being much, much better when they went out to deliver accounts. So
excellent. Thank you. Thank you both for sharing your background and everything. I'm hoping we can kind of move into a little bit. I mentioned kind of the top of the podcast that you both are ESX, the Electronic Security Expo's sales track education advisors. So I kind of went with that with the assumptions our listeners know what that is and what that role includes, but obviously they most likely don't. So if each of you could kind of go over what that means to be ESX's sales track education advisor and what that responsibility kind of includes, what you have to do in that role.
Sure. Well, one of the best things was being invited to participate. I've loved ESX since I first met the show, and the ESA team is pretty fantastic. So one of the things I've always enjoyed about that conference and show is that the education is very targeted. Mm-hmm. When I was asked to participate on the educational advisory, I actually wasn't really sure where that would go, but those are the kinds of things that intrigue me. And right. So when we met, I was happy because Kendall was there and a number of other terrific people. But the best thing that I saw happening right in front of my eyes and being able to participate was throwing out lots of ideas and just kind of anything that was out there we could contribute our thoughts and opinions on. And what opened my eyes was listening to other people. I love best practice sessions. I love sessions that help salespeople to be able to feel confident that they're doing their job in a better way. Some of the things that really came kind of to a surprise maybe for me was that there was a lot of discussion on how do we help sell fire better? How do we help sell new types of technology and services in the industry? So those were very intriguing types of topics for me. So let me pass that over to Kendall and see what she says too.
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything that you said, Tracy. That being part of this group, it's really an opportunity to collaborate with others that are maybe seeing similar things, but have a unique perspective on what's happening in the industry and what businesses in the industry really need to get to that next level. For me, what is so cool and important about being an advisor and supporting ESX is that it truly is the conference in the industry focused on RMR and how do you grow RMR. And it continues to be so huge for all of the clients in the industry that we work with. And truly the way that they can elevate their business and take it to the next level. And in many cases, far beyond where they ever dreamed it would go. And we are big believers at Braveheart in this concept of the power of the positive ripple effect. And truly, I felt this sense in the room with the other advisors where we're talking about what these businesses need and the knowledge that they can gain and what are some real tactical, actionable things that we can give them so they can take those back to their businesses and implement them right away. And that to me, I think is just so cool because not only is it giving them the ability to live their dreams and grow these businesses that are far beyond what they ever maybe imagined were possible, but they're also creating jobs in their communities. They're helping their employees provide for their families. And on top of that, the work that they're doing keeps people safe. So that is something that I think is really cool and really inspiring. And just the different perspectives of all the different people on this advisory committee, where they're different types of businesses, they're involved in the industry in a different way. I really feel like for this next show and in upcoming years, there's going to be a lot of different resources, different things for everyone and something that everyone can walk away from ESX feeling like it was, well worth the money and time and the investment and that they took something that they can immediately use in their business to make it better.
Yeah. The quality of what was coming through was really neat too. And I think that's really the key is that everyone in the room, to what, Kendall is seeing is that we were talking about how to help people improve their businesses. And that focus again on recurring revenue sales and those dollars that are highly profitable, but sometimes they're difficult to sell.
Right.
People don't always know how or the best way, or maybe the pricing is hard. Or so we talked a lot about solution sales. And that was a really interesting topic because that effectively is what this industry is about.
Right.
We don't just come in and try to shove products down people's throats. Instead, you're selling solutions that
Right.
are life safety, security. These are things that matter in people's lives, whether it's a homeowner, a business owner, a corporation. These are things that matter. And that's the kind of educational content that was kind of coming out in the discussions.
Oh, that gets me really excited. And that actually moves straight into like my next question. So kind of just to summarize a little bit what you guys were going over, you both are advising for the educational programming at ESX 2024 in June, and focusing specifically on the sales related content, since that's where your expertise primarily lies for this. And some of the things you were discussing, like you were saying, solution selling. So what are some, I know you're still developing some of those topics and educational courses. I know we're a little early. It's October right now when we're recording. The event isn't until June. So I know you're still fleshing out some of those topics. But is there anything during those discussions with the advisors that you can kind of give us a sneak peek on some of those potential topics and trends that you're going to be hitting at ESX 2024?
You want to spill the beans first, Kendall?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things, but one thing that comes to mind in particular is something Tracy already alluded to with the idea of solution selling, but also this big focus on fire. It's something that has been a big focus for many in the industry. And if you're not in it, there's a chance that if you're a business owner, you've looked at how do you bring fire into the fold as part of your portfolio of products and services that you're offering your customers. And so I think that there's going to be a big focus on expanded products and services that you can bring, whether it's fire or video, and how you can get your team to effectively sell these services as a service and be a partner. And really it's about selling value as opposed to comparing the features and benefits of this widget. It's really about being a partner for your customers, whether it's a homeowner or a business, like Tracy mentioned, and helping not only the business owners that are going to be in these rooms during these sales track conversations at ESX, but also in many cases, the leaders who have to figure out how they can get the folks on their team to perform and to be able to actually execute. It's not just going to be a group of, a bunch of experts that talk about all these really nice theoretical things and then don't give you practical guidance on how you actually implement it. The goal is that you'll be able to walk out of those rooms after the sales track sessions and really know what you need to do and at least have an idea of how you can implement it with your team.
Even if you could try out a couple things, we know that you can't conquer it all, but if you can walk away and try a few things differently as a salesperson or a sales leader or an owner, I think a challenge that many of the companies in our industry face, there's changing technology constantly. And, one of the things that they consider is, do I bring a new line in?
Right.
What's the cost of doing that? It's massive. It's not easy just to say, I'm now going to sell, X line. And so it affects everybody in the business. And one of the things that we want is to make sure that even if you're not going to do, let's say, cloud-based access control, you can attend a class on that and understand some of the ways that selling can occur. Like Kendall said, how do I become a better partner? Buyers, we realize, are just smarter. They have a lot of information at their fingertips. And so a seller needs to be able to come in and speak with them about their needs and about how they envision that solution, how they envision the end game versus, hey, I sell all this stuff. Isn't it great? They're going to assume you know what you're doing and your products and things will work. But to your point, Kendall, do we have a relationship here that can build over time and I can have success, not just today, but into the future? And those are the kinds of things I think, really piqued my interest as I listened to everyone.
Oh, that's really exciting. I'm actually hoping, this is the first podcast I've done with the ESX advisors for 2024, but I'm hoping this will be a series where I meet with the operations advisors and the management and the monitoring, and I can kind of get from their perspective on those kind of different sides of the business, what kind of programming people can expect. It seems like you were saying, a lot of focus on FIRE, RMR, making sure we have that relational approach and understanding the customer's needs and perspectives, that solution selling. What would you say overall kind of sets ESX, its educational programming? What sets it apart from other industry trade shows, as you've been kind of, led behind the curtain, so to speak, and a part of the whole process to begin with?
Well, I would just say, yeah, for me, it was certainly the focus on RMR is one of the biggest ones, and where it truly is a place that you can go. Maybe you bring some of your team members, even depending on the size of the organization, and really there's something for everyone. It's not a beauty contest necessarily where you're going to see all the latest in, products and technology. All of that is great, and there is some knowledge to be gained along those lines when you go, but it goes deeper than that. And I think that the nature of the event is really taking something away that you can learn, that you can take back to your team, which is just different than other events in the industry. So I think that's one of the biggest things that stands out to me.
I would say absolutely. And I think one of the other things I've always enjoyed, I go to, like you, many, many conferences throughout the year, and we participate in many. And one of the things I really have enjoyed at ESX is that I do see many of the same faces. It does change as well, but it's a smaller community. It's a place where you can get together and people share. They are open about sharing. They're helpful. And so it isn't, some of the trade shows you go to are they're big, they're trade shows. And what I see at ESX that I really enjoy is that I've exhibited there a number of years now, but I feel like I really participate. And so there's that feeling of community and camaraderie, and that there's the vendor isn't just separated. We're part of a solution for those that are attending. And I think that that's probably one of the things that I value most with ESX and ESA, because I know that that's part of what the ESA team is striving for. And I think you really hit that mark on the head.
So yeah, I think that is something that kind of sets, I've gone to other industry trade shows as well. And I think one thing that I've experienced, and I kind of hear from our attendees and exhibitors, is that with it being exclusive to actual security pros, it really does kind of change the environment, makes everyone kind of focused, and it has this environment that kind of feels like a family reunion, and we're all there, and like a rising tide raises all ships. And I don't know, I've worked in other industries, and there's this feeling that sometimes can happen where everyone kind of keeps their cards, closed, and they don't want to give away their secrets, which, you understand when you're there with competitors and stuff like that. But I think, I don't know, in my experience with ESX is it creates this environment where people feel comfortable and like sharing their best practices, and for the good of the industry as a whole and for the good of our customers, because at the end of the day, like you were saying, we're not selling just trinkets and toys. We're selling things that make an actual impact. This is life safety. This is protection of people's lives and property and things that are most meaningful to us. So I think that element of it being kind of exclusive to security pros does kind of affect the whole vibe and educational programming, so to speak.
I think too, ESA has done a great job with its board. So the board is comprised of, companies that are out there doing this every day, meaning, the security integrators, let's say, and alarm companies, as well as those on the manufacturing and supplier
the associate side. Yep.
Yeah. And I think that the fact that everyone is there for a mutually good and positive reason makes everything much more successful. And that was something I really appreciated sitting in the advisory meeting, hearing so many different perspectives, but unanimously, everyone there was, talking about how do we make the industry better? How do we help the businesses that are here to serve all of our customers better? And I think that that's, striving for that as a singular goal is really what makes all the education focused on the same thing. You're going to get great education because of that.
Yeah, Tracy, something that you just said, it resonated with me that it's about how do we make the industry better? How do we help our clients in a way that's going to be lasting? I think that's another big differentiator. It's not just about here's the trends and here's what's happening now. It's here's where this industry is going and here's what we are doing to help you get to that next level in a place where you're going to be around for a long time serving your customers as their needs evolve and as the world evolves. And I think that's very different about ESX than other shows.
One other thing that I noticed, and maybe it's just because I've been around a while, that there is a changing of the guard happening. And of course that happens, throughout time. But one of the things I strongly admire, and I think that it requires a lot of guts, are the people who are out there starting new businesses. Those who said, you know what, I've put my time in and done these things and I've learned. And for some crazy reason, and I can say that because that's me too, that you decide, I've got something that I really want to try and get this business up and running. And it's not easy to do that as an alarm or integration company. It's a very complex business. So I love that there are fresh faces and fresh companies, and that they're taking the time and coming to ESX, not only to see products and talk with, the suppliers and the vendors and everybody else, but to take advantage of education and sit in classes where also they know they can say to their neighbor, hey, how do you do this? What's worked for you, or what should I stay away from? What hasn't worked for you? And so I think that that's also going back to that kind of community and feeling like you're in a neighborhood of peers, but good neighbors.
Absolutely. And I know I work at ESA. That's something that we definitely try and foster as a trade association, creating opportunities, not just for, our existing members and existing integrators and people that we serve to improve, but for people who are just joining the industry, just deciding to take on that entrepreneurial spirit and start something, giving them opportunities to not have to reinvent the whole wheel by themselves, giving them those opportunities to network with other peers and get that best practice sharing like we're talking about with this educational programming at ESX. And then in addition to that, we have those, in addition to ESX, we have the executive management professionals groups where, if you're just doing your startup, you can meet with other people who've already done it. Maybe they're also just starting. Maybe they've already been doing it for 30 years. Maybe it's a family business that's been going on for generation to generation. That's what's so unique about these groups, is that you could all have varying experiences, and you can kind of all mind meld and talk about how you're tackling these different issues together. But creating these opportunities for people to be able to grow together, I mean, is just, it's priceless. And that actually kind of leads into something that I was hoping we could cover a little bit with people just starting either an integration company or maybe pursuing a career in electronic security sales. What advice would you give to people who are just getting started in terms of professional development, skills development, and industry knowledge?
If you don't mind, Kendall, I have to say this because there's no self-plug for you. I'm going to give you the reason that I am a firm believer in sales training. And I'll say that when we started WeSuite, it was at a terrible time economically. That was not the plan, but that was the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I started a company that has a long sales cycle, which I was surprised at, frankly. I thought, why doesn't everybody want one of these, So one of the things I did back then, and for several years, I wasn't being paid a salary. Every month, every dollar that came in went to funding our people, developers, right, and that kind of thing. And so, Kendall, you appreciate this. I decided I'm going to go get some sales training. And I spent $12,000 out of my pocket. So the reason I say it is not sound like, wow, there's $12,000. It's to say that commitment to learning paid me back over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not saying go, spend that kind of money. I'm saying commit, learn, and spend something, invest in yourself. And if you're new to sales, there's so much here that can help you. So Gretchen and Kendall, I've known them a long time. They do a fabulous job. It is worth it because you're going to get the ROI. All it takes is your commitment. Yep. Today, I was sitting here writing a class on shortening sales cycles. That's for, something that I'm doing, and it makes you think. I'm always learning. There's always more to learn in sales. And I think that investing in sales will definitely have a good outcome for you as a business.
Yeah, I agree, Tracy. I mean, thanks for the shameless plug. I think that as somebody just getting started out, it's easy to get preoccupied with velocity and thinking about going fast, fast, fast. And while that's important, we recognize that you have to get some traction with your business and get some of those wins early on. Setting yourself up for success and thinking long term of where you're trying to go is huge. And so don't just get caught up in the day to day. Take the time to also work on the business, not just in the business, whether that be getting your tech stack right, whether that be figuring out who your partners are going to be and who you want to partner with that can really help you get to those goals, but also doing something like being a member of ESA, coming to ESX, and learning from others so that you don't have to make those mistakes. Learn from others' mistakes and their successes so that you can start out further ahead than maybe they had the opportunity to.
I would offer one other thing, and only because we just did a vlog on this, and because one of the things I find that personally I feel is very important to me is supporting the small business. And oftentimes a smaller business doesn't feel they have the money to invest in certain things. And I would tell them, for instance, definitely there's all kinds of sales training you can get. It doesn't have to cost $12,000. Right. There's a fabulous book right behind Kindle to read. And there are many others. The other thing is that, invest in technology. The only way to grow your business is to make sure that you own the data, that you create the efficient processes, and that when you've gotten somebody new into the business, that you can train them in a repeated type of training so that, for instance, in sales, I want to spend my time speaking with prospects. And that way, when I have what I need, I can quickly get a quote out, using technology to generate those things, to sign those things. It's not just about saving money and time for the salesperson, but it's about centralizing data that you own, that's your business, and controlling costs so that you've got proper profit, things like that. So when I think about sales, I think about every aspect of the business. It starts here and it all flows into every other area, including your customer being satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think long term, like Kendall said, is so important. Your problems are not going to get smaller.
It's true.
They're going to get bigger.
Oh,
And
ain't that the truth?
you want to get that done sooner versus later.
And that's one thing I just want to put an exclamation point on because it's so true. And that's why, like what you guys are doing at WeSuite, it is giving businesses the ability to scale and also keep their salespeople who are the lifeblood of the business, keep them selling and not spending a bunch of time in the paperwork and figuring out how they can put proposals together. Give them the things that they need. Make sure that they have the tools and resources available so they can do the things that can't be replaced by technology.
And that, by the way, is the way that you start working on your business versus constantly in
it.
The leadership of the business needs to be able to do that. And so the sooner you can utilize technology to help you run your business, think about it. You're selling technology. To not use it is not really too kosher, right? So
No.
and there are plenty of people that are out there to help you. Like I said, I have a special place in my heart for those people, and we try to work really hard, and I know you all do as well. So
awesome. Well, this has been, better than I could have imagined. I thank you both so much for coming on the podcast today. I'm super excited to attend some of your sessions that you've advised on at ESX next year. I think we're at about time. Do either of you have any last remarks, closing remarks before we wrap it up today?
I can't wait to see everybody at ESX 2024 in our sales sessions because they're going to be phenomenal, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. Can't wait to see everyone there.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for both of you coming on the Security Nation podcast. And thank you, listeners who tuned in today. Please make sure to subscribe to the podcast. We're on all podcasting platforms, and the full video versions of our episodes are available on YouTube. And if you're curious about ESA membership and how it can power your business, please visit our website at esaweb.org. Take some time to schedule a discovery call with our membership team. They're amazing, and you'll be happy you did it. And make sure you have a great day, Security Pros. And now a quick word from one of our sponsors of the podcast. What if smart security gave you more freedom to focus on what matters most? Stop putting off that dreaded infrastructure migration and let STID show you how simple it can be with a multi-stage upgrade that's tailored to your particular implementation. To find out more, visit stid-security.com. Thank you, STID, for sponsoring this podcast.